Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this MCAN Networks training happening today, June 1st, 2026. Happy Pride Month, everyone. Today at noon. Today, we have a training led by MCAN's board president, Fred Davis, running through how to run a Decarbonizers program. But before we get started, I want to ask that everyone please rename yourself. You can do that by clicking on the three dots in the corner of your image, or alternatively put into chat any preferred pronouns, the town or city that you're from, and any relevant organizations that you might be representing. For those of you who are unfamiliar with our work, the Massachusetts Climate Action Network seeks to accelerate equitable decarbonization in Massachusetts by empowering local residents, advocates, and community members to take action. MCAN was founded in 2000. MCAN provides a network and expertise to help local groups take action on the climate. MCAN is a network of organizations, including over 60 chapters and thousands of amazing advocates like you. One of MCAN's issue priorities is the reduction of embodied carbon in Massachusetts. And to help local communities address embodied carbon, MCAN has designed a model RFP language resource for low embodied carbon design in municipal new construction. So if that sounds of interest or of use to you or to your work or to your community, I encourage you to reach out to me, jack@massclimateaction.net. And I will provide access to that resource for you. MCAN puts on regular Zoom programs. On the screen here, you can see a list of some of our recent programs. The recordings of these programs are accessible on our YouTube channel and on our website. And on our website, you will also find the slides for these programs. And then we do have one upcoming MCAN program to announce that will be happening in the next couple weeks or so. It is the coming Massachusetts Climate Bill Showdown, Winning Strategies with Dan Zakin and Mark Dyan, and we'll be discussing important legislative developments. So please stay tuned for more information there. The session today is going to be recorded. If you have questions, please hold until after the initial presentation. That means to please hold off on chats until after the initial presentation, which at that time you'll have an opportunity to raise the digital hand under the reactions tab to be recognized, to come off mute, and to ask your question. So please mute when not speaking, keep your comments brief, and just know that we may not be able to address all questions and comments. And then after the main program today at 1 p.m., we understand that some of you may have to leave, but everyone is invited to stay on for an MCAN open discussion. So again, I ask that you please rename yourself using preferred pronouns, the town or city that you're from, and any applicable organizations. And now I just want to take a brief moment to thank everyone in our network who has donated to MCAN. Your support is super meaningful to us and helps put on programs like this. So if you like the work that we're doing, please consider supporting us at massclimateaction.org/donate, or you can scan the QR code on the screen now. Thank you. And thank you all for joining. Feel free to follow us on social media. And I will turn it over to Fred now.
Okay, thanks, Jack. Welcome, everyone. Happy June 1st. Let's get started here. And I will make this full screen. And such. Okay. All right, Jack, is that looking good on your end?
Looks good to me.
Very good. All right, folks. So today, training, how to organize your local peer-to-peer decarbonizers program. A little bit about what it's about, but mostly how to do it. So just so you all know, MCAN has goals of its own here today. We want to do this training, but we also want to do the follow-up with as many of you are interested. So if you want to go forth from here, fantastic. Our goal is to have this program implemented in numerous communities and as soon as possible. And also, another goal of ours is to circle back and report. So I hope you're all inspired to move forward at the end. I will try to mix this up in a couple of different ways, but the core of this is a 9-step program. But we're going to start off with a thought experiment. So even though Jack said, hold on participating, I'm going to ask you to take yourselves off mute and addressing the following question. So the question is, how did it go? What I'm doing here is positing that a program just ended, a program that you helped put together. Doesn't matter what program, a climate program. Doesn't have to be, it's not this one, but any climate program. And you are having a discussion with your fellow organizers. And the general topic is, how did it go? So this is a thought experiment, meaning make stuff up. This is make believe. Imagine that. So no wrong answers here. And it's a little hard for me to see everyone. So please do just take yourself off mute and chime in with any answer that comes to your mind. How did the program that you just helped put together go? And quick answer, and then we'll move around the room. Everybody want to just make something up? You put together a program, it just ended, you're discussing with your fellows.
Inspiring.
Janet says the program was inspiring. So glad to hear it, Janet. Please take yourself off mute and just chime in. Participation is welcome.
Helpful.
The program was helpful. Fantastic.
It went very well for a first-time effort.
Nice. Who was that?
Gretchen.
Gretchen. Thank you, Gretchen. Good for you. All right. All positive so far.
Could have been worse.
Who was that, please?
David, Leslie.
David. Could have been worse. I'm going to write that one down. Thank you, David. That's a classic.
We went more than reaching the choir.
Good.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I'll keep doing this, but might as well just identify yourself when you speak up, please.
Lisa Smith.
Beyond the choir. Terrific.
Bob Winograd, Medfield, tough to engage.
Say it again, please.
Tough to engage.
Like a tough crowd, is that what you mean?
Yeah, tough to engage the crowd.
Ah, good. Okay. A few people haven't spoken up. Please do.
Pat Hogan, Stoughton. I wish we had a broader age demographic.
Nice. So some people here are speaking from experience. Michael, are you off mute because you want to say something?
Sure. Michael from Hingham, I think a good program, lots of effort, but unfortunately underwhelming results.
All right, so we're going around the room. We're having this discussion. This is terrific. We're making it up as we go. So Michael just said underwhelming results, and I'm going to ask the group, what might Michael be referring to or have in mind? Or Tom, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was going to echo that. I think the participants or the sort of general community didn't follow through and actually take the actions we were asked them to take.
Okay, group, keep discussing. Anybody want to pick up on what Tom just said?
Evan from Attleboro. I just put it into one phrase, and that's NIMBYs.
Helena
Ready?
Brown and Khan, always the same faces.
All right. I'll tell you, everyone, if we stopped right here and call it a day, this was fantastic. You know why? Because we all work in silos. And I hope some of you are getting a glimmer that the next town has some of the same issues. And I'm sorry, Helena, you said always the same faces?
That's what I said, yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. A couple more comments. This is a great discussion. I love it. Just take yourself off mute and chime in. Okay, and let's just do, is somebody else ready? Okay, if not, let's just do a show of hands. Has anybody heard anything in these comments that resonates for them? You don't have to pick out which it is, but anything that resonated for your own organizing. Maria, yes. Janet, yes. Patricia, yes. Gretchen, yes. Gabriella, yes. Some people are way, yes. Great. As I said, we could stop now and it's a win. We all work in silos. We suffer from silos. Thank you, everyone, for chiming in. And as I go through the rest of the training, I hope there'll be more participation. But this was terrific. I really appreciate it. All right, let's see if I can get back to the slides here. Okay, the slide's still up for everyone.
Yes.
Okay, so as you noticed, some of us lurched from immediately after the program to how did you put it? Underwhelming results, Michael and Tom. Actions didn't happen. So one thing is, the actions that we want are unlikely to be, clear whether they've been picked up on the moment after the program ended. So it's often a good thing to follow up with whatever the program is, whatever the actions are. And in this case, you'll see it really makes sense to do a follow-up survey a month out, maybe 3 months out. Because what we're talking about here is decarbonizing action. This workshop will train you to run a decarbonizers program in your community. And we have right here in our audience, oops, I'm going to be introducing Helen in just a moment, but right now I'm going to take down the screen so that Maria can step forward. Maria has experience in this kind of program. And maybe you could just say a minute about how it went, anything you'd like people to know.
Sure. So I had a program on a peer-to-peer program in my synagogue, and I had one of, I think maybe two people speaking about each. So two people talking about that their experience getting solar, two people for heat pumps, and two people for EVs. And to get ready for that program, it took a considerable amount of work, was talking to different people in my synagogue. I put out a message asking who had done what, and I talked to them ahead of time and heard their story and figured out who would be the best speakers, and then lined them up to speak, and people could ask questions. And it went very well. I think it went very well. A lot of people came, partly because different people in the synagogue were speaking, and so it was their, it was a community thing. And I think that what I learned from Fred, which is true, is that people listen to their peers who have done this work more than they listen to experts. And the reason I think they do that is because they trust their peers, and they know that, if their peer could do it, they could do it. So, okay, that's what I got to say.
Thank you so much, Maria. Really appreciate it. So there you go, a little testimonial. Now you're going to see what we're talking about. I'll run through the program. So I recommend, it's old fashioned, but I recommend one of these things. If you can see my screen, one of these things is a pen and a piece of paper, because there are 9 steps. It's not like we're not going to redistribute electronically. but there's something about the mechanical, the muscle mechanics when you write things down. So there are only 9 things to write down, and you'll see. So this is a training in community organizing. It's been shown to work equally well in all types of communities, as Maria said, houses of worship, and in most of your cases, municipal communities. And a community green team is ideal. So Jack has sent out a questionnaire to folks in advance, and please, as he said before, please, if you haven't already, put in the chat or next to your name, the name of your green team or community. It really helps for us to know this. And what is a green team? Ideally, a diverse, small group organized for action, for climate action in your community. So you may already be a community organizer, or you may want to become one, and walking through these steps will certainly make you one. If you are not the community organizer, you can certainly work with one. You may know one already. And you may want to be on a team. And if you don't already have a community organization, but you still want to help, please be in touch with Jack or I, and we can try to put you together with other folks in your community to make this happen. All right, so what's a decarbonizer? What are we talking about? We're talking about people who have already adopted for their household either any of these, photovoltaics, or electric vehicle, or heat pump. Why? Because these are the 3 most impactful household measures by far. Other measures are great, but they don't measure up. So, and just a reminder, in Massachusetts, over 60% of all building emissions are residences, and over 60% of all transportation emissions are from household passenger cars, consumer level. Also, it's important to remember, not everyone is equally polluting. These exercises are not purely democratic. Some people have very, very large carbon footprints. Some people have very, very small carbon footprints. They are all equally members of your community. That doesn't mean they are equal participants, either as attendees or presenters. And reminder, landlords can and should be decarbonizers also. So, important for our purposes, a decarbonizer is someone who's not an expert, not a professional, who has already adopted for their household any of these 3 measures. Your job, and the training here is going to show you how to do this, you'll pick 3 decarbonizers. Maria mentioned 6. 3 is good. 6 can work, but this is for a typical 45-minute program, say, at your program. I'm sorry, the presenters will be 3 decarbonizers at your program. Again, no experts, no professionals. The harder you push on that rule, the more successful your program will be. Who will attend? Who will attend are people who have an available roof, possibly, who already are driving an automobile, who have a heating system that might need replacing. And the thing to ask yourself, if you're wondering, are there target households in your community? Yes, there probably are. So these are the folks in your community. These are your community members. They are curious about it, decarbonizing. They're going to show up because you're going to do such a good job publicizing. And they're already curious. Some might have decarbonized. That's fine. You would like them to be decarbonizing. As I said, if they're going to be buying an electric vehicle, or if they're going to need a new heating system, especially, and you want to know what they're thinking. And it turns out you already do know, even though nobody's walked in the door yet. You can have a clue. They're wondering, well, first of all, what can we do? Right? This is a common question. They've heard about electric vehicles, but they've also heard this question: are there really enough chargers out there? They've heard about solar, but they have a roof already that gets snowed on. They've heard about heat pumps, but they've also heard, gee, do heat pumps really work in the cold weather that we have here in Massachusetts? Well, you all know that we could spend the next hour addressing these questions. No need because most of you know most of these answers, and even better, you don't need to have the answers at hand. And it turns out you also don't need, for this purpose, to go grab experts to provide these answers, because experts are not the best ones to provide the answers. Why is that? Because in where we are in market stage, motivation to make something happen for consumer choice primarily comes from the side, friends, from neighbors, from relatives. It's peer influence, it's peer-to-peer. If those people are giving the answers to the questions you just heard, as Maria said, that's golden. So 9 steps. Here we go. And there's Maria. Thank you, Maria. All right. There are 9. You don't have to write them down all at once. I'm going to go through them one at a time in batches. It will seem very simple, especially the first couple and the last couple. But there are critical elements in here. So let's take them in batches. First and foremost, find a date on your calendar. I suggest maybe 2 months out. So here we are, June 1st. If you're eager to run, you have access to the calendar. You could today say the program is August 1st. And of course, you're wondering, well, what program, Fred? You haven't even told us what. Okay, fine. But you will see momentarily what the program is. So for some of you, that's easy peasy to put a date on a calendar. For others, you, as I said before, you may or may not have access. You may or may not be the core organizers of your climate group. You may not have a climate group. So it might take a couple of steps to get a date on a calendar. And what are you putting on a calendar? You can make up the title. It could be Decarbonizers of Salem, for instance. Step 2, also common to all your programs, probably, is just publicize, publicize, publicize. And I just want to emphasize that it goes all the way from save the date. In other words, as soon as you have your date, you put it out there. Some people are eager to hear at the very beginning, but then for days and the weeks in between, circulate everywhere you can, post as appropriate, seek RSVPs as you go. Now, I didn't say this before, but the program that you end up with can be in person or it can be Zoom. I recommend if you can do in-person programs, they're a little more powerful if you do it that way. And then keep publicizing up till the very last minute. It takes all kinds, and you want to grab all kinds of people. Some people are eager, some people are last minute people. Publicize. Okay, very straightforward. Now we get into the core of the program. Your first job, your major job, is to seek around. I'm going to take this down in a minute to ask for show of hands. But your job is to go look for and keep an open mind for a pool of non-expert decarbonizers, as we said, who've taken one or more of the steps: photovoltaics, electric vehicles, or heat pump. How do you do that? You may already know somebody, or 2 or 3 or 5. Whether you do or don't, ask around. And as you're doing it, if you don't already have a core team, you're building your team. You're building your team because as you talk to the next 6 people, no, I don't have solar. You know, somebody told you I had solar. I don't know why you called. But wait, you're doing what? Climate? Yeah, I'm definitely interested. Bingo, you got somebody on your team. If you do talk to somebody who has an electric vehicle, who knows? They might be excited about it. They might be excited that you're organizing. They might get on your team. Okay, this is how it happens. Networking, it's fun. Ask around, ask around. Now, where did we get to at the beginning here? Helena, I loved it. I wrote it down. Always the same faces. Okay, and Pat, you said you're looking for a broader age demographic. Bob, you said a tough to engage crowd. And here's your opportunity. Go to the edges. You've got a core group, those 3 or 7 or 8 people who show up every single time, or even 20 people, ask them for names of people who are not in the group, not in that core group. They know somebody outside the core group who's gone solar. They know somebody who's gone electric vehicle. Work within your group, your network, build a network. It can happen. All right. So go to the edges is the most important thing. This is the scary part. You're used to dealing with your core group, perhaps, and now you get to meet new people, and it's okay. They're soon going to be your new best friends, as they say. So go to the edges. Why is that super important? Because as you do that, you will be also bringing in their friends, and some of them are interested in why they went solar, but we're still have questions, even though they might be friends. You want to constantly be expanding your core group who's been around for months or years are great, but eventually you need the next wave of people decarbonizing. So do you know anyone is the main. So I want to take down my screen for a minute. I'm going to ask for show of hands. Do you already know, and if you have a piece of paper, you can be jotting it here. Do you already know anyone who has decarbonized? Raise your hand if you know 3 such people just off the top of your head before you do any more networking. So I'm looking for a show of hands. If you already know 3 people who have decarbonized in your community, or you're pretty sure by the time you get off this call, you will have thought of 3 people, that's what we're looking for. Raise your hand, please. Keep them up if you think you already know 3 people. Okay, so if folks know 3 people in your community who've already done 1 or more decarbonizing step, that's what I'm looking for here.
Can you include roof solar in that list?
Exactly. Roof solar is 1. Perfect. Electric vehicle is another. Heat pump is another. Thank you for asking, Bob. Okay. Anybody else want to put their hand up? And by the way, if I've already stumbled into any problems for you that you don't know 3 such people, put that in the chat, and then Jack can call it out. That'd be fine. Is that all right with you, Jack? Jack's
Sure,
monitoring it. Okay. So if there's anything alarming that I should know about, thank you. All right. We're going to keep going. So what you're doing now is looking for a pool of folks. You're keeping the door open. You won't do that forever. Can everybody see the screen again? Okay, you're looking for somebody who drives an electric vehicle, somebody who heats with a heat pump, and somebody who has rooftop solar, as Bob just put it. Okay, 10 people have their hands up. Okay. Good. As I said, jot those names down now. Those will be your starting point when we're done. In this stage, you're seeking around. You want to keep it open and breezy. And when you talk to these people, here's a simple script. You know, I'm on the green team or whatever the name is of your group. I heard you have solar panels. We're hoping to spread the word. Can I ask you, how long have you had them? Do you like them? So as you're looking for this group, you're getting simple or quick stories from them. They might talk for 5 minutes. They might talk for 20 minutes. If you've talked for 20 minutes, that's enough. So you'll get back to them. That's good. But you're starting to hear stories. Stories are the core of what you're doing here. And here's, by the way, another fellow organizer, Danny Muller, did a great job organizing in her community. So we've gone through 3. Any questions so far? And Jack, if people are raising their hand, people can take down their hands from the previous question and raise them or put in the chat any questions so far. All right, I will move on. Now we're going to move from being open to everyone. You've got a pool of, I'm guessing, 10 to 20 people. This is a great list you're developing. And when you're done with that stage, you're going to move into a totally different stage. Now you're going to take, you're going to go from being open to everything's good to discriminating. Now you can go back at your list and your notes, and maybe with your small group, you're now going to become the producer of the program. You're going to review your notes and the stories that you've heard, and you're going to pick amongst them who you thought was particularly personable or popular or relatable or entertaining. What would people like to hear amongst those stories? So you're now discriminating. As I said, not everything's perfectly democratic. You're going to be the impresario. You're going to be discerning. You're going to make up a program out of this. And you're going to pick one of you in each category, one person in each category. Because you like their stories or you think their stories will be liked and appreciated by your audience. And by the way, the stories don't have to be all positive. There can be problems in there. That's fine. People can relate. Now, as you go back, and now that you've been discriminating, and by the way, you're not going to use that word discriminating, but now that you've picked out your 3 speakers, you might have to go back to the others with the disappointment, and you might hear disappointment. And for those folks, you will say, yes, we're looking forward to the program. Please do be there anyway. Everyone will appreciate hearing your answers if there are questions raised. Remember, this is the only first time we're doing this. And one more time, Fred's saying, you do have to let the experts down and say, thanks for your enthusiasm and thanks for your participation in the past and hopefully in the future. But for this program, it's for non-experts. So if you don't mind, please sit this one out. All right. So now you've done the work of determining who are your 3 speakers. And now you go back to the 3 and you ask them some more questions. Again, you want to give them easy questions, open-ended questions, and listen for more stories. You can ask, what was your motivation? Did you have any issues with the thing? How does the rest of the family like it? And now you listen and don't spend 40 more minutes. Don't spend more than 40 more minutes. So a total of an hour at the most. I'm sorry, a total of 40 minutes, I guess is what I'm saying, over the 1 or 2 interviews. But keep taking notes. You now are listening for them to expand. But you're still the impresario, and you're going to go back to them. And as they talk, and this is really important, keep it first person. Ask them to keep it first person. Does anybody know what I mean when I say that? I'll take down the share. Does anybody want to guess what I'm talking about? When people tell their stories, what do I mean by keep it first person? Gretchen, do you have your hand up? When I say keep
yeah, that was a mistake on my part, but you want them to speak from their own perspective. I like this. I had this experience.
Perfect. Yeah. And I or we or us, our, if it's a household. Absolutely. And so what are the ways that people can easily lurch into speaking not from the first person? Anybody want to offer an example?
You want to avoid people who tell you what you should do.
Allison. Perfect. You want to avoid people who tell you what you should do. What's another example? So it's kind of easy if you think of the 3 people we use in grammar. There's first person. You is second person. David, were you going to say something?
I was going to say, I heard that heat pumps don't work in cold weather.
Okay, right. That's a good example because you're really not talking from the first person. You're talking about somebody else, even if it's fuzzy in your mind who said it, right? And who would that somebody else be when you talk about somebody else? That's the third person. They say that, that's that you don't want that. So as soon as somebody lurches into you shouldn't, or they say that this is how it's done, or as David said, I heard people say this is how it's done, then you're out of the first person. And you're now the listening brain, your audience's brain shuts down in a way, shuts down because, as Allison said, it's as though you're being lectured at or told what to do. And it's not terrible because, hey, we've all been educated one way or another, usually by a teacher and a classroom, right? And we've all learned a ton, and most of our programs are based on expert and audience. So it's not bad. It's just a different brain. So if we keep our programs first person, I, me, ours, we, it's hard to do, but that's what we're aiming for. Okay. Thanks everybody for your patience as we do this. All right. Get back to the slides here. Okay. Now, if we have time at the end, I will bring this in. Heidi Johnson was a speaker at one of our Medfield programs. She has a great couple of minutes that sum everything up. She was one of the speakers, but I'll come back to that if we have time. All right. So you've gone through the stages of getting your pool of 3+. You've narrowed it back down to only 3. Now you've heard people's stories, their expansive stories, and you're still the impresario. You're still producing a program, and now you get up to the run-through stage. And that sounds like rehearsal because it's sort of a rehearsal, but you don't want to get anybody nervous because this is all homey. You want to keep it local. You're not producing a television show, professional television show, but you do want to set up a run through with all 3 in the same room or Zoom at the same time before your program. And you're going to be looking for what's interesting and entertaining about each person's story. Again, be the producer. This is your opportunity. You've heard the stories from the 3 of them. There might be overlap. There might be overlap, and you don't have to have 2 people talking about the same thing. And, make the decision. You told the story about this. You told the story about that. You do this one. You do that story. And so that'll help streamline some things, but also go back through your notes and really ask each person to accentuate what you found interesting or entertaining or relatable. And tell each speaker all you want to hear from them, all you need to hear from them is 6 minutes, 8 minutes at the top, at the most. For some of your speakers, that'll be a big relief. They might have imagined they needed to speak for 20 minutes. But again, if they do that, they're probably thinking they need to be the expert. But no, you want to emphasize their stories. Your enthusiasm really came through when you said that. I loved when you shared that story about the kids. And this is a big one. Just be you. Just be you. That's what you want to say to all your speakers. All right. Now we're getting to the program. You also want to say to your speakers, and watch for this picture. If you want to share pictures, great, but 2 or 3 at the most. And only 1, if you have to have numbers, only 1 of them. And you, the producer, wants to see all the pictures in advance. So hopefully you can pick out, if a slide has text on it, you can winnow it down. You want really spare pictures. And here's a great one. This is one of my favorites. This is Elisa, was the speaker about her electric vehicle. And this is the picture. I'm looking to see if people are smiling. Looking for responses, folks. This is your opportunity. Say, Fred, I get it. Move along. Allison's nodding. Gretchen's thumbing up. Thank you so much. We'll keep moving. Okay. Speaking of which, at the program, 2 things. Remember why you're doing this. Very important. And stay on the toes. Keep it moving. Watch the timing, especially your speakers. Keep them to the 6 minutes. They won't mind. You've told them already. And program, and this is, perhaps you've done this at other programs, you can have food if it's in person. You can have door prizes. You definitely want socializing happening, and definitely lots of time for Q&A. But even in the Q&A, ask folks to speak from their own experiences when they give answers. Our experience was, okay. After woohoo, you've developed a stronger green team. You thank the presenters, organizers, you assess, you have the discussion that we had half an hour ago. How did it go? You let us know, that's MCAN, please, and repeat. Put it on the calendar again, because you will have inspired some folks here, and then 6 months from now, you need to inspire more people. What do I mean by inspire? And here are all the steps, by the way. Oh, and by the way, number 10, as we said, you want to send a survey a month out, 6 months out, so that as Tom rightly said, we want to track whether the actions are happening. So, this is what people were thinking in advance. They have heard answers from real experience. Their neighbors also got snow on their roof, and it covered their solar. What did they do? They heard the answers. Okay. But here's what's happening in people's minds. One person heard, did she just say that they made money? Wow, it looks easy enough. Ours needs replacing anyway. And as Mario said at the beginning, if they can do it, we can too. So, peer influence is the most powerful motivator. You've now gotten the basics of putting this program together. We're glad to work with you to make it happen in your community, to help you make it happen. But this is what it's all about, moving us from where we are to where we need to be, accelerating decarbonization. Thank you very much for your patience. And by the way, if folks don't know, please go to the MCAN actions page, and you can check your municipality to check on the implementation so far of each of these 3 technologies and how much further you have to go. And we will go into Q&A. Thank you very much, folks, for your attention. And thank you, Gretchen. And Jack, anything you want to do or say to help any Q&A that's come up so far, if I might not have caught it, but let's hear any responses, any thoughts.
Fred, real quick, I'm going to put a link to that climate goals tracker in the chat for anyone to save and check out.
Thank you. Okay, so please take yourself off mute and just speak up, because I can't see everyone at the same time. So who feels like they have a clue of what this is all about, and whether this might make sense in your community? You don't have to make a commitment now, but give me a clue if anything came through.
Yes, this seems very doable for me.
Terrific. Allison, you want to tell us what your situation is?
So I live in Framingham, and I have an electric vehicle, and we have heat pumps. We've taken out the line from the gas because we we needed to enlarge our house, and so it was a chance to do that. And we're having solar panels put up, and at every stage I felt like I'm not the expert and I'm just sort of stumbling ahead into the next thing, but have done it. And I would have loved to have attended a panel like this while I was contemplating any of the steps before.
Cool. So do you think you know some others who have also decarbonized?
Yes, yes, I do. And I'm part of 350, and so all of my 350 friends have done some degree of this. And honestly, I had never thought of this definition of decarbonizing. I'd have thought of all of those net zero homes that you read about in the Globe or can go tour. But no, this is a different way of looking at it, and I think a more helpful way of looking at it.
Cool. All right. By the way, net zero homes are most often new construction, and that gets all the way back to what Jack was talking about. If anybody is interested in new construction, making it the lowest carbon new homes possible. Thank you, Allison. That's very helpful. And by the way, Allison and I did not collude. Noticed I put Framingham up at the very end there. I don't know if you noticed.
Well, I did think about asking you to put the slide back up, but I will go. I took the address for the database.
Right. And the point is that every community has that data. Good. So please, someone else. David, did you take yourself off mute?
Yeah, I think the missing element in this is the economics of it all. And if you get these people who have done the things, and in our community we have many people like that, they did it on past experience. Now incentives have changed, so I would think you would want to be ready to point them to Mass Save, even though that's an expert. They have a decarbonization coach, I think now, at Cape Light Compact. Anyway.
So, thank you, David. Right. So Fred is not anti-expert. We love our experts. We can't do this without experts. Oh my gosh. None of this is, let's see, it's been decades since I heard of somebody jury-rigging their own solar on their roof. You shouldn't say decades, but that's 1 in 10,000 people are DIYers. Right. So we need experts. Nobody's, very few people are building their own car from scratch. Okay. So not anti-expert, just if one program, this kind of a program can stick to it strictly, you will get a whole lot more people at once, which is fantastic. So I hope Falmouth has other programs, and always mentioning Mass Save is a good thing. You might have a list of resources. You might have a follow-up program, and a number of ways to go about it. David, were you going to say something? David H., were you going to say something?
Actually, just logged in. I can mention that I've had trouble getting Mass Save offers a $500 rebate if you buy a induction stove, but they're giving me trouble on the rebate because of an oddball thing that they consider my condo as a commercial thing than a residential thing, even though I'm a resident. I'm kind of pursuing that, but since you asked, I wanted to mention that.
Thank you. David, where are you?
In Jamaica Plain.
Great. And David, I put that under the category of it's always something, right? Has anybody heard of that particular snafu?
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck. Please report back.
It gets in the way that, within our condo, we're thinking of some people buying induction stoves, and we're thinking eventually of switching from gas heat to heat pumps. But this little niggling gets in the way of moving forward at all.
Great. Okay. Jack, if you could make a note of that, maybe we can check on something for David. David, please be in touch. All right. Gretchen,
Okay.
are you off mute because you want to say something?
I think I think this program could work for us in Shrewsbury because we recently showed a film at the Shrewsbury Public Library, and we got the town to promote it on their kind of alert newsletter system a couple of times prior to the film. And we had pretty good attendance, much better attendance than we've had in the past when we've tried to run a program at the library. So I think with a 6 month lead time, we could get on the library's calendar. We could start promoting it. We know we know a ton of people that have decarbonized one way or another who are glad to talk about it. So we have that resource. But I would say our hardest thing is getting the word out. So if we have the library programming, if we get on the library's calendar and then we can get the town to promote it on their calendar, then I think we could get enough attendees to make it really worthwhile.
Cool. Hey, do you have an answer to how many people are in your core group and how many people are in your mailing list?
Yes, I think I sent that to Jack. I think we have about 10, 9 or 10 in our core group, and we probably have about mid-20s or so who are on the mailing list, who jump in from time to time.
Mhm. Right. So, as I said before, you want to work from the edges. So you want those 10 people to be telling you, and maybe they've exhausted their contacts already. Maybe you need to go to the 20 and ask each of them who do they know who's thought about decarbonizing. In other words, it's like community theater, right? The more people you put in the cast, the more people show up in the audience because they have to see their parent or child or aunt or uncle or cousin or friend, right?
Yeah. Yeah, good point.
Community organizing.
Good
What's
point.
that?
Good point.
Um, that is what I use the word cast, but the casting about stage of seeking your pool of decarbonizers. Each time you talk to them, say, bring people to the program. Good. Would somebody else like to speak up? Yes, E. Ling. E. Ling, you have your hand up, I think.
Yes, sorry, I unmuted and then I muted myself again. I'm from Falmouth, Eleanor Lane. Um, we have a core group, the Falmouth Climate Action Network, and we also collaborate with the Energy Committee. David, Leslie, and I are Energy Committee members, and we have done in the past few years, we have done solar home tour, solar workshop, and EV demo and so forth. We have pretty good attendance. I think we lack is the follow-up, and I'm really glad you brought it up. I'm wondering, what's your experience or other attendees of this webinar's experience in terms of response rate and I mean, like, for example, if you send out 50 requests for response to follow up to assess the successful rate of this program, how many people actually responded? And what is the most effective way to do this and what kind of questions you ask and so forth? I appreciate the any feedback.
Great question, and it's one that we've received numerous times. And unfortunately, this stage of development of this program is such that we do not have a particular feedback route to offer at this moment. It's important, and it was alluded to earlier, and it'd be great to do that. And we're all, many climate advocates are data oriented because we want to count carbon and enough to reduce it at least. But so by giving you a non-answer like that, I just want to emphasize that opportunism goes a long way. So look at how MCAN is working right here for this program. We put it out to our 5,000 people. We put out, I don't know how many notices, Jack, and we put it out in a couple of other networks, and people might be here because they were at the Mass Energize conference a couple of months ago. We mentioned this happening. In any case, we put it out there, and you all showed up. Not everybody shows up. So that, I'm calling that opportunistic. It's whoever shows up. Same thing with, eventually you can't predict who's going to walk into your room to the program. And similarly, the next stage, you can't presume who's how happy at the end of the program or who's how motivated. It's really a month or 3 months later. So all of which to say is the right path to take to get to the right answer for you, Eleanor, that the right question that you're asking is to be tracking folks. So do ask for RSVPs in advance so that so that you can track people afterwards. So I'm glad to work with any and all of you to put on a program and certainly to develop the feedback loop that is a next stage of development of this whole process. So thanks for bringing that up, Eleanor. Allison, were you going to say something else?
No, I was just typing in the chat. But about being part way, because we had 2 iterations of heat pumps before they were our only heat source. And Kevin had asked what the intermediate stage was. And for us, the intermediate stage was we really wanted air conditioning because my partner has severe environmental pollen and other allergies. And heat pumps were a good way to get that. And then we would just set them, play with the 2 thermostats so that the heat pump always came on first, and we only had our gas furnace running when we were in a polar vortex or something equally cold. And that worked really well.
I'm going to sum up because we've going to move into the next stage of program. As Jack said at the beginning, we'll have open discussion on this or any other topic, but I want to thank anybody. I want to take a note also before people hop of Kevin's comment. Really appreciated, Kevin. I'm glad to get into it in a minute. Great questions. So thanks everyone for showing up today. It means a lot. I hope many of you will be interested in taking these steps. We're glad to work with you. Jack and I will stay in touch and check back with you, see what you might need to get things started in your community. Thanks everyone, and stay on, and we'll keep the discussion going if you can. All righty. So Kevin, are you still here? Oh, Kevin couldn't
Yes.
chat.
I can't
Okay.
really chat a lot, but yes, I'm here.
All right. So I saw your question. Maybe other people did too. And good stuff. And there are good answers for that. And I think it's important to notice, for the purposes of this program, not everybody, talk about opportunism. Not everybody is a good candidate for heat pump conversion, right? You've got a 5-year-old heating system. There aren't many who would advocate ripping out a relatively new heating system. The climate goals that Massachusetts have work on the presumption of a certain lifetime of a heating system, which might be 20 years, I think. And if you think about it, if everyone's evenly spread, all heating systems are spread evenly. That means, what does that mean? Each year, 1/20th of all heating systems need replacing. So if we can get 1/20th of all heating systems replaced every year, we'd be way on track. That would be like a huge thing. So if you want to do that math for your community, that's fine. But it's also a way to alleviate guilt or redistribute guilt, if people follow my thinking here. So hopefully that's at least a partial answer for you, Kevin. Similarly, if somebody just 2 years ago bought a brand new car that's working for them, You're not advocating that it gets junked. Kevin, go ahead.
Yeah, so I was actually I was looking to buy an electric vehicle, but realizing my electric infrastructure wasn't quite there, I bought a hybrid. So I feel like, I love what you're doing and I believe in a lot of it. It'll be difficult to implement, I think, everything in like an Attleboro area as of right now. What I'm hoping for is maybe we can't get 100% to step one, but maybe if I can get 60% of the people halfway to step one, that's marginal progress, hopefully.
Beautiful. I love it. So the way I look at it is everyone, every person, every household is where they are on their curve. Let's call it learning curve or motivation curve. Eventually, maybe we'll call it 2050, all households will run on heat pumps, all vehicles will be electric, et cetera, et cetera. So who gets on board when? Between now and then, as I said, as organizers, we can't presume and we can work opportunistically. Also, not every community is the same place. There's a distribution curve for every community. How many people already have heat pumps? How many people have solar? How many? And we've looked into this, and we're quite confident. 351 cities and towns in Massachusetts. Nobody is at zero in any of these technologies. And for the purpose of this particular simple program, you only need 3 people in your community. That's it. That's it. By the way, and if somebody runs into an obstacle, like we can't find anybody in this town with an electric vehicle, let me know. But so far, so good. We're way past the early adoption stage. So one last comment about what you bring up, Kevin. I hope everybody's listening, and please chime in if you've got other thoughts. But people who want to make a change their own households may or may not be the ideal at the moment. And this is a super constructive way to spend one's time to do some organizing. So I imagine that's true for many of you, that you step forward not because it's only your own household that's going to do things, but also you want to move your whole community forward as best you can. So I think that's partly what you're saying, Kevin, and I'm giving kudos to everyone for being here and participating in your community organizing. So, Kevin, thank you so much for everything you're doing in Attleboro. And yes, there are many things that can be done. Getting people on board with Mass Save. Mass Save brings programs to communities. I don't know if you've worked with them to get a community-wide programming happening.
Not yet. So when I moved into my house originally, they were a huge help. I just had a Mass Save audit like 2 days ago. So I'm trying to run some of the numbers and say, hey, for my home, this is as of like 3 weeks ago, So I'm trying to get like as much data and as most recent, because I know even myself, I've heard Mass Save is changing benefits. To what extent the information keeps changing, I don't know. So I'm hoping I can say, like, to your credit, I'm not an expert, but I am a friend. I'm a community member, and that might be enough.
Can I
Beautiful.
jump in and ask a question?
Colleen is here, I think, to give the magic answer for
No,
Attleboro.
I know, and so I work at All in Energy. I'm also in Sharon, and I'm on the Sustainable Sharon Coalition board for a few more weeks until I step off. But we administer the Community First Partnership, and I know that Attleboro is in that, but it's run by Clean Water Action, so I don't know if you've connected with them because they're doing Mass Save outreach in Attleboro. So I guess I would recommend trying to connect with them. Clean Water Fund, Clean Water Action. They're the CFP entity in Attleboro. So would be something to look into.
Thank you.
And I
Right.
see
So
a few other energy advocates in this call that are also working on that in other towns.
working on community first partnership.
Yeah.
Oh, really? And anybody in such category is welcome to speak up. That's great, Colleen. Colleen, thanks for mentioning that. And I was not realizing you were about to speak up. That's great. I was going to suggest to Kevin that we'll talk with him afterwards. And what I was going to do is connect him with Community First Partnership, just in case there wasn't a connection already. But you're saying there is.
There is a nonprofit doing that work in that community.
Right. Someday you can explain to me why it's not all in energy, but that's okay.
We run the program, we don't do the work, is the simple answer.
Okay. Kevin, I have noticed your activity and your engagement in the last months, and I want to get back to you on another subject, which is possibly Attleboro, you helping Attleboro becoming an MCAN chapter.
Yeah.
You don't have to address that now. I just wanted to let you know we're going to get back to you on that.
Excellent, excellent. I just started kicking off making the recommendation for stretch code, specialized stretch codes, and becoming a climate leader community. So it seems like a lot of these elements intersect. So I'm willing to take all the help we can get. So I'll be in touch. We'll be in touch though.
Fantastic, fantastic. Let's see. I don't know if Kimberly, you're still here. Want to say anything?
I am here. So I got in late, and we'll look at your slides and presentation and the recording, I hope, later. But a couple things I wanted to mention. One is I've looked at the tool, the greenhouse gas tracker, and the climate action goals tracker. And one concern I have I'm in a municipal utility town that doesn't have any mass save. We have both gas and electric municipally, and I noticed Gretchen was here too. And I'm just from Shrewsbury, and I feel like the EV stats are correct, but probably not the heat pump and solar. And I mean, it references mass save, says we have fewer than 99 heat pumps, and anyway, so we don't have mass save, so I don't think they estimate it all. But I don't know if there's a way to get, if there's a way to get more, to better information for those of us who don't have mass save in MLP communities. That would be great. And maybe we just have to ask our municipal utilities individually and maybe feed the information back to you. I don't know if that's the best way, but that's one thing I wanted to mention. And then the other thing regarding outreach, our group, Sustainable Middleborough, so we have a mailing list of about 300. We've been around our roots go back to 2017, and we have a leadership team and board combined of maybe about 10 people and maybe 30 volunteers who show up regularly. So that's our size. And we have done a lot of, different events, workshops, all different kinds of things. And with really varying success at turnout. And we're still trying to figure it out. We have an outreach protocol document, and I think looked at Mass Energizes materials on making partners in the community and asking them to share our events, we share their events, which we do, and also just a lot of other ways to do outreach. But sometimes, it's like the message or maybe the topic, the moment, we get great turnout, we fill town hall. Other times, 6 people show up for a really fantastic, do-it-yourself insulation webinar, but it's wonderful, but nobody comes. So anyway, we're still figuring that piece of the puzzle out, I'd say, at this stage.
So I love it. So Eleanor, you were asking, can we track, was it you, Eleanor, who's asking, can we track results? Great question.
Yes, yeah.
Right. I would push that back and say, can we track what gets people in the door for anything? And if you notice one of the last slides, I said food.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an in-person event and food is available, it pulls some people over the threshold that might not have gotten there. Also, door prizes. So I love, how do I put it? the first 10 people will get a door prize, or there will be a drawing to win a solar powered clothes drying system. Everybody knows what that is?
Well, it's a rope.
It's a what?
It's a rope.
Clothesline. There you go. And depending on the budget, you can either come with the hank of rope or the rope with the clothes pins. And if you really want to splurge, you get a drying rack to put outdoors. They cost maybe $18. So if you've got a budget, you can get door prizes. What can bring people in the door, right? So, Kimberly, not to make fun, but these are you tell me if you've already tracked that, and there are or not correlations. I don't know.
Well, we have found food. Food doesn't seem to make a difference. I don't know that we promote it, and that we'll have refreshments there, and it's a bit of trouble, mess, etc. So we haven't found that to necessarily help. But we haven't tried the door prizes. I think that's a very clever idea, and we actually do give away. I mean, when we speak to low income groups like our food pantry or our council on aging or other places, we do give away like window. These are fairly inexpensive. Three window, like plastic kits that you can put up, maybe weather stripping. We just give those away, but we could promote it that way. Be the first 10 people in the door, that might help. So,
hey, great. In response to your first point, by the way, and everybody should know, MCAN, even though if you're not in a municipal light plant town, MCAN has for many years now run the network group of activists like Kimberly and Gretchen, right? For MLP towns. And there's a lot of activism needed because Mass Save, it didn't happen. The good things that Mass Save does didn't happen by accident. And in the 40-something MLP towns, they have to build that or something like it from scratch, each town separately. So it's a lot of work. So anyway, the MLP towns have great opportunity. And I'm sorry, your specific. Oh yes, I know. So the person who puts together the tracker tool, believe it or not, she says when she gets to each of the MLP towns, she goes hunting to find your specific data. Yes, you're right. It's not available through MassSave. So she does hunt for it. And if she doesn't have the access to the right documents, then we can help connect her. So if you don't mind shooting me an email for that, I'll make sure you're getting the connection.
Okay, thanks.
Right. So there's a lot of extraneous work, not extraneous, a lot of work. I think it should be the case that whatever's going on with an MLP, they should at least be required to report this data publicly in a central database so that it's all findable. Says me. So, but Phil Thayer does a great job running that group, and you all are great troopers for all the work you do. All right, I'm going to call on a couple more people if you want to speak up. Or drop off, I guess. I was about to call on Stacy, but I think she dropped off. Gabriella. Oh, Stacy is there. Stacy, do you want to say anything from Salem?
Had lots of events, but this was very inspiring, and it's kind of reminding me that I wanted to reach out with Beverly and maybe do a sustainable homes tour at some point too. So I'm hoping that we can do that. This is really great.
Cool. I think tours are fantastic, and how this program, which is obviously not the tour, but maybe it's a stepping stone. It gets people who don't want to make a trek, but will show up to the library or wherever you hold the program. Maybe it's maybe some people need a couple of steps before they're fully motivated. But yeah, tours are fantastic. Thank you, Stacy. Gabriella in Woburn, Turribius in Alston. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it was Patricia Hogan who mentioned earlier that I wish we had a broader age demographic. I happen to be just 23, and I don't think I can implement any one of this because I don't own a house, I don't own a car. I don't think I can implement any of this, and neither can my peers. So that's kind of problematic on my end. However, I still think that I can take some of the steps given here for other things. Within Boston area, I've noticed that most people eat meat, and I'm a vegan, and most people don't know what I eat. Like, so that's one of the things that I realized that I can teach others. I can show others, like, hey, my food is just as good as yours, and in most cases, it's even tastier. I ride a bike even through winter, and when I tell others that I ride a bike through winter, people look at me as if I'm crazy. But it's possible, and it's even healthier because you're getting a workout through winter. So I definitely think that I can take the recommendations from here about the steps to take, but instead of having it be for solar, for EVs, and for heat pumps, to instead have it be for lifestyle things that people in my age group can actually do.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much for speaking up and offering that. Those great ideas, and MCAN would be glad to work with you or anyone else on such programming. And I have heard this before, and I'm going to offer a perspective which may or may not resonate with you, but just if folks don't mind. It goes like this. What you just described, Turribius, is relatively low carbon footprint. And by the way, did you say it already? Are you in a multifamily home as a renter?
I am renting in a multifamily home.
Bingo. Okay. So multifamily home by definition, as a generality, low carbon footprint compared to single family detached. Bicycle riding and or transit, mass transit, very low carbon footprint compared to driving a passenger vehicle. Now, what's on the roof of the building where you are is up to a landlord or an owner to put up solar, and they should. And that's a separate question. You don't have, it's not your direct in your direct purview. But the point is that the as you say, lifestyle choices that you're describing are low carbon footprint, and others can do that. That's true. But these three decarbonizing steps are huge. In other words, the carbon footprint that a household can reduce is huge compared to the carbon footprint that somebody in multifamily or transit already has. So where to assign guilt and worry? I'm not trying to make anybody feel guilty or worried, but if you wanted to work on that, where is the carbon? Where is the carbon? So if anyone has interest or ability to do community organizing, that's where the money is. That's where the carbon is. Why do you rob the bank? Because that's where the money is. Why do you go to single family internal combustion engines? Because that's where the carbon is, and the carbon can be reduced. So there's a lot that could be said, and it's not an argument. I just wanted to put it out there. And I'll call you in 1 second, Colleen. Just if there's opportunity that, think the households in Alston many people do drive an internal combustion engine. Many roofs are available for solar, whether they're owner-owned or landlord-owned. And certainly a lot of heat pumps can be put in there. So a lot of organizing can be done. Colleen.
I was just going to say maybe your friends, you could all work on your parents or something. Like maybe you don't have the infrastructure to decarbonize, but maybe they do. So if you all have the info, maybe you could sort of spread it upwards in age or something like that, to help them decarbonize. Just thought.
Right. If anybody works with high schoolers, I say exactly what Colleen said, and I introduce the word guilt there. Guilt trip your parents. That works with some high schoolers, not all. Okay. Or inspire your parents. I'm sorry. Inspire your parents would be okay. I didn't say that. Is the recording still on, Jack?
Believe it is.
That's fine. That's fine. All right. People aren't getting my jokes. All right. So let's see. Anyone else who hasn't? Michael, did you speak up earlier? Michael Reeve? Are you still there?
Yeah, I've really enjoyed everything we've had in the discussion. I think my overall comments would be today's the day to start because there is incredible opportunity with new technology that has not been available previously. I think the economic models to make some of these changes in our homes to decarbonize are making much more sense. I think there are in every community is help networks and free consultations. I really believe that we're at the beginning. Many of us on this call are early adopters. We've been involved, and I think what MCAN's trying to do is really just push us down the ice a little bit more, get our friends and friends and friends and those friends involved, because there is something that everybody can do just by spreading the word. And, actions speak volumes. And I think we can all do the things that we've talked about. But for me, I'm excited about the new technologies. I'm excited the way the industry is moving from the utility side, whether you're an investor-owned utility or whether you are a municipal light plant. I've become very involved in what Hingham's trying to do. And I think there's huge opportunities for everybody to decarbonize. But the most important thing that I will say is make a plan. Put down the things that we can do or plan to do today. And that could be just eating less red meat, using a one-family electric car as often as possible and using the other ones when available or circumstances necessitate. But everybody can make a plan, and then you're not getting caught behind the 8 ball when the furnace or the boiler quits us in the middle of winter. And the only other thing I would add is everybody uses hot water, and that is a large part of our carbon footprint. So it's heating and hot water, because we still heat our water in the summer. So those are my takes, but I found this really interesting, and I encourage everybody to spread the word and catalyze us we all need to be active decarbonizers.
Well, thank you for all those great thoughts. Mary, were you going to say something? And then I had a 1-minute video before we.
Yes, I just wanted to build on what was just said. Climate Action Brookline developed an inventory of what you have in your home now or even in your rental apartment that you can inventory and say, if you own, well, how old is my hot water heater? How old is my gas furnace? And that gets people started prepping to maybe go to one of Fred's recommended decarbonizer events so that you can start to frame your life as a carbon demystifier and get educated and move ahead, even though you're not ready to invest right now in a new system. And that worked really well. We have something called Brookline Day, and we had a table, and people responded to our handout. We had thousands of people pass by our particular display.
Thank you, Mary. I have a colleague who submitted a 1-minute video, and since you're still here, you will you win the prize for this is your prize for staying.
My name is Dewey. I've been with Medfield Environment Action for 6 years, and we've run 3 different Medfield Decarbonizer programs here. It's some work to organize, but it's a lot of fun to get people to talk about their own experiences. Each time, we've had a different set of decarbonizers, but when they tell their stories, it's provided great motivation for others to move ahead. You may feel that reaching out is not your thing, but really it's straightforward. And, for the most part, people do like to share, especially if they've had a good experience. Also, many of our presenters have gone on to be active in our group in Medfield, which is nice. It's a relaxed, low-key, casual event, neighbors talking with neighbors, nobody is an expert, and we've found it to be very successful here.
Okay, well, thanks for staying till the end here, and I thank Helen, my collaborator, and the person who's done the most decarbonizer programs. And so hopefully her testimonial is good. And it would have been in the main program, except that Maria was here live and in person. So if you remember, Maria came on early to share her experience. Any last thoughts? We will be following up with everyone who was here today to see where you're at, and maybe we'll give it a week, Jack, do you think, to send out a check-in email?
Yeah, you can do that.
Great. And I'm just seeing Allison, Colleen, thank you for your last comments here. And yeah, so we're going to have a program for about the Senate taking up the climate bill. That could happen as early as 1 week from today. We will finalize that very shortly. Kimberly, go
Will
ahead.
you be sending out a recording of the slides soon? Or are you planning to do that? Because I did miss some of it.
Yeah, we'll get started working on that, processing the recording and getting the slides ready to send out as soon as possible. As soon as we wrap up here, we can start working on that.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your great work. Eyes on the prize, decarbonize.